right. Hi, Tracy and Sarah Grace, and any future website editors that we have out there. This is going to be a quick tutorial about how to use the new Adorned and Grace Tacoma Bridal Boutique website using the WordPress platform. And so I'm just going to go ahead and dive in and show you some of the basics. And then if you have any questions or follow-up things, you can just let me know, okay? So let's go ahead and dive in here. So the way that you log into the website is to go to adornedandgracetacoma.com/admin. So you'll click on that. Hopefully it won't take as long to load as it's taking me right now. I actually have it pulled up in another tab, so I might try that. So what I'm going to do is create some usernames for both of you so that you can have your own unique login to get in here, because right now I just have one for myself. So I'm going to go ahead and log in using that information. And we'll get logged in. And hopefully it's going to go for us. Okay, looks like it's working. Okay, so this is your dashboard. And just to give you a little sense of how to navigate around this, your best friend is going to be this menu on the left-hand side. So you've got posts, which you can ignore because that's typically for a blog. You would pay attention to that. You have media. This is where your media library is hosted. This is where you can add photos and PDFs and things like that that you would then use in your website. Another one to pay attention to is pages. That's going to be the one probably you navigate to the most. That's where all of your website pages will be found. And I believe we don't have any comments enabled on your site, so you can ignore comments. For the most part, you can ignore a lot of this. I'm just really going to do the very basics today. And then, of course, if there's things that come up along the way that you really need to know how to do that weren't covered in this tutorial, then we can cross that bridge when we get there. So let me go ahead and navigate to pages. So I'm going to click on that, show you what that looks like. Okay, so here we've got your website, pretty much. Every page represented here, and it's listed out. So I'll click on one and kind of just show you what it looks like once you're in there. So I'll click on the home page. Okay, so this is kind of how your pages are set up. You've got the title up here, you've got the link up here. We do have an SEO plugin that kind of helps with, where you show up in the search results. So that's going to be called Yoast SEO. I haven't done a lot with that for this site, so that's just something that could be in the future, or you can kind of choose to ignore it. So this is kind of how WordPress is set up. This is what the back end of the website is. It's kind of in these different chunks of information. And those different chunks and columns, it creates a website essentially. And so if it helps, you can also at any time go to preview changes and it will show you the live, or it'll show you the current version of the website. So if you kind of want to toggle back and forth between what you're editing and then what you're actually going to see the changes be on the front end, that's super helpful. The thing to know is that before you actually before you navigate away from this page after you've made changes, make sure to click on this update button here, because otherwise they won't be saved and you'll be sad. Okay, so as you can see here, part of the way the page setup isn't exactly linear on the back end. So you can see at the top here, you've got your header photo and you've got some text here and you've got a button. You can see the text and you can see a button, but the actual place where the photo is controlled is when you scroll down to the bottom here, and you'll be able to see there is a page header image that usually there's a little thumbnail that shows up here, but this is where you can control like the page header images for the pages. And a lot of this you probably won't be interacting with a lot, but I kind of just want to give you a bit of an overview for now, especially as far as like the different text and whatnot on the site. Most of it is probably going to stay the same for a while, so you won't have to worry about that. I'd encourage you to kind of keep it the same, but there will be obviously certain areas that you'll want to edit. And so, I'm going to go a lot more in depth on the dresses and accessories page because that seems like the page you're going to be interacting with the most. But as you can see, there's just different types of content that are used to build the web page. So we've got some dividers here. It's just spacing essentially. We've got this heading here, which is this heading, buttons, headings, again, paragraph text, and also you can use these different columns to create like obviously how many columns you want, and you can kind of merge those together so that you have kind of a full column for this header, but then you've got 3 columns for this text, and that really just helps with spacing. So we've got a little bit of space on either side. It just makes it look nice. And then we've had a link that's been added like right into the text, and you can see kind of in these text block settings, there's options to do that. So some of what you can do in WordPress as far as manipulating text is limited, as opposed to your Microsoft Word or something like that. They have pre-formatted settings for text based on like how big you want it to be essentially, and so those controls are all sort of on the back end as far as like the font that you use. That's already pre-programmed. You don't get any control over it in this part of the website. So that's just good to know. Kind of adding a link is similar to what you might have seen in other programs. Highlight what you want to link, and then you go to the link button, and then you can type in whatever link you want, and you can make sure to click apply. You can also choose to have the link open in a new tab. So rather than like going up in the page you're currently in. Anyway, you may not need to know that, but I digress. Okay, so again, yeah, we've just to give you kind of an overview of like what you're looking at here. Like we have this link for the video here, and that was a special piece of content. And how you kind of see those is, and you see a lot of these plus buttons. That's going to be where if you ever needed to add something, you click on that, and then it gives you all these different options for types of things that you can add. A lot of them I've never used. I don't even know what they do, but a lot of them are useful. So for instance, adding a button, you click on this, and it goes through the process of adding a button. Adding an image. What else? A video. A map, if you ever needed to add some sort of a map. Testimonials, there's several of those on your website currently. Flipbox, that's what we used for the dresses and accessories page. Text block, dividers on here somewhere. So as you can see, that's just some of your choices here, and yeah, that's some of your choices. So yeah, we got some flip boxes here. And you can always, if you need to add like a new row for content, you can always do that. That's in the list here, and you can always search here too. Adding a new row, click on that. It populates with a new row, and you can drag and drop using this little button on the left-hand side. And let's see, we can move it. Yep, we can kind of just move that where we want it. And then if you needed to change the columns, I can change it to like 3 columns using that. Then I've got 3 columns, like if I wanted to put 3 pictures or whatever. And you can also stack content. So I've got these 3 segments. I can click a plus and add an image. And if I was, really doing this, I would look at all the options. So I'd go to add image. I would already either have the image in the library if I added it through the media page, or I can add it just like right here, right now. If you wanted to add any animation to it, you can choose that. And then there's most of this you kind of don't have to pay attention to. But if you were going to link it to something, like for instance, like a page of your website you were linking it to, then you would put the image link here. And then link target just means, is it popping up in this same window or is it popping up in a new window? And usually if I'm linking to something in a website itself rather than an external source, I want it to come up in the same window. So let's just say we're going to add that. Then we also want to add like a little bit of text underneath it to like describe what's in the picture. So I look for text, I put text block, and then I've got my text editor here, and I can say, okay, photo description, yay, save changes, and then let's just see what that looks like on the front end. So it'll update for you. This is not live, so when you are making edits, until you click update, you're safe. No one's going to see what you're doing. So I'm all the way down here. So the reason why it looks like it does is because if you don't choose a photo to put in, it'll just have a blank spot. So that's what that ended up looking like. We just have my little text that says photo description. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that you can stack those things. And that gives you a little bit of flexibility there. So I'm going to delete this. I don't want that to show up. So that's that is that portion. I'm going to spend more time on the dresses page because that's where you're going to be spending probably a lot of your time. Yeah, I did not make any changes, so I'm going to leave. Okay, so let's go to dresses and accessories and see what's up over there. Okay, so I'm going to click on preview changes just so I can toggle again. That's just really helpful. Okay. So, like I mentioned, the way I have it set up now is I have not created specific rows for sizes yet. That's definitely something you can add. Just at the time, like the dress photos I was snagging off of Flickr and off of Facebook, I didn't like snag enough to have a lot of sizes for each particular category. So I have a 0, a 2, a 4. A 6, and then I have quite a few more of some of the bigger sizes. So anyway, that's just something that you can add later, like little a text, add a text box that has like each row has its own size or whatever. So but I'm going to show you kind of how this is all set up back here. Okay, so yes, you can see kind of how it's set up. We've got our sub navigation here, the kind of this initial header, the paragraph text, and then kind of this list of things that you offer at the store. Now let's say you started carrying something new and you wanted to put it on this list. Well, there's kind of a convenient little gap here. So if we wanted to go on here and say, new item, then we could do that. Just type it in, essentially, click save, and you've got that on there. So that's how that would work. And then, for scrolling down, so this is what your dresses and accessories look like on the back end here. So we've got all these little flip boxes underneath a heading. And that's the same for accessories here. I didn't add any formal dresses or mother of the bride dresses. That, again, I was kind of operating based on what I saw on Facebook. And so, again, I just didn't have some of those photos. So that's something that you can add. And what would probably be easy to do is when you do want to go ahead and add those, it is often a lot easier to like copy or clone something you already have than to create it from scratch. So let's just say I want, a row of these flip boxes. Then I can click on this little button here that has like the 2 pages. That's a copy. That's the copy button. So I have that, and then I want to move it down into my actual section. So I'm going to move it underneath the header, and boom, I have a row of flip boxes. Now, they are going to be the same content as what I cloned, obviously, so then I would need to go in and replace the photos with the updated ones that are actually formal dresses. But that is something you can do, and that saves you some time as far as like setting up the row, doing the columns, adding the images, setting up that portion, if that makes sense. So, to delete that. So I'm going to show you kind of what the flip box looks like. So if I want to edit something, I just click on this little pencil button here. So I'm going to click on that. That allows me to edit the flip box for that specific one that I clicked on. And you can see I have the background image here that I have added. And then I also, you can take this or leave this, but I did put, these little designations on the ones that were designers, just to kind of, hopefully wow people and be like, wow, they have a lot of designer dresses. That's cool. That sort of thing. I mean, you could get fancy and even, say who the name of the designer is if you even wanted to do that. And yeah, that's an option for you. So that is the front. Again, kind of just ignore a lot of those extra details. So that's the front, but then you go to the back side, and you can also choose to put text on the back side. That wasn't really something that I chose to do, but if there was, if you had something you did want to write on the back, you totally could. And then I've got my background image here that has the tag on it. So I think maybe what would be helpful is to show you kind of the process of putting in a new one. And I'll just kind of use some of the photos I have already. So I'm just going to go ahead and clone something, and then I'll delete it. So I'm going to go to this split box here. Let's say I'm adding something for the first time. The important thing to remember will be that I have in Canva, which Tracy knows how to use, I have created these images so that they're all going to be the same size, because that's just important. We want it to look nice and uniform. So what I did essentially was go into Canva, create a template that is this exact size, and then I uploaded my dress photos and fit it to the container, downloaded them from Canva, then re-uploaded them to WordPress. And that was worth it to me so that they could all look nice and uniform. So if I'm pretending like I'm doing this for the first time, I'm just going to delete whatever was there. I'm going to say add image. So this is for the front side. And this is what will pop up when you are wanting to add a photo. So we'll let that load for a second. Okay, so this is kind of your media library. This is sort of, one of the ways you can access that other than the dashboard. But you can see these are kind of all the photos that have been uploaded to use on the website. So I'm going to just choose one of these existing dress images. If when you're doing this for real, you're actually going to go to upload files, select files, and then it'll allow you to choose from whatever source you're getting the photo from. Okay, so I'm going to use this one. I'm going to say set image. Ta-da! Now that's our front side of the image. So for the back side, again, it allows me to put text if I want to. So I'm going to skip that and add the back side, and I think that's the tag. So go ahead and set image. Okay. That is good. So I've got that, both the front and the back, and I've got my wording on the front. If it wasn't designer, we didn't want to put that, we can just delete it. Save changes. And then you can preview and see what it looks like on the front end, make sure everything worked correctly. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of this here. This was the one that I added. So as you can see, it's got both pictures and it's flipping. So that's good. So I'm going to delete that because I don't want to keep that. And that would be kind of the same process for the formal dresses, mother of the bride dresses. I only did the flip boxes for the wedding gowns themselves. I just have static images for the accessories and for the children's dresses, I believe. But again, if you really wanted to have the flip boxes for the children's dresses, then you could totally do that. You could just go on the back end, choose the flip box option for down here, and add them that way. You'll see that these some of the accessory photos are that same size that I used for the gowns, and then some of them were a bit smaller. That was just based on the type of image that I had. It worked a little bit better to do square for these ones versus a little bit more oblong, rectangular for these ones to kind of use the photo the most effectively. So, I mean, I really do use Canva for so many things, and that's just one of the things that it's helpful for in this context too, for like website images and things like that. If you ever need to find out what the size of an image is that's like already on the website, you can do that by clicking on it, and we've got our image here. So I'm just going to say add image. That's not going to mess with what I have currently. So I can say add image, then I see the one that's already there. I can click on edit image. Oh, it might have already been there. Oh, it's telling me here. So it tells me that this image is 325 by 300 pixels. So then I can go into Canva, and if I need to, make another one of these, I can custom, create a template that's that size, and then I can make sure that that picture, whatever new thing I'm adding, is matching what I already have. Same goes, for all types of images on WordPress. If you need sort of a quick sort of cheat way to find out what the size is, sometimes, I'm not sure how accurate this is, but sometimes I will just take a screenshot and it tells me what the pixels are of something. So I can do my screenshot and it'll tell me pixels. And so, yeah, that's not the best option to do it. Whoops. But I will actually send you, I can share my Canva templates with you anyway to make this easier so that you can just have them at the ready when you need to add a new one of any of these categories. Let me see what else I wanted to talk about. Let's just say you did want to eventually add a sizing category for each of these lines. Let me see kind of what would be the best way to do that, kind of doing it on the fly here. So probably what I would do is I would go in here, I would probably add a new row. So I've got a new row here. I want that to be kind of below this. And I'm going to make it 3 columns because I want my text to kind of be left aligned. So I'm going to go ahead and add my text block. And let's just say we want this to be the line for size 0. So we've got size 0. Maybe I want it bolded, or maybe I want it to be a bigger size. So I can experiment. I can go to heading 3. Let's see what that looks like. So let's go ahead and preview it and see how that went. So I'm going to scroll down and see, oh, boom, okay, size 0. And these could all be size 0. If you had more than that, you could make it, obviously more than one line. And then once I have that created, I can just go ahead and clone this. And I can move it down to the next row and create a new category. Oh, yep, there we go. Sometimes it's finicky when you try to move stuff. So you just have to kind of pay attention because sometimes you'll accidentally... Yeah, see, this is annoying. Sometimes you'll accidentally get a piece of content in the wrong spot. It just like auto grabs it, and so it can be a little bit frustrating, but you kind of just got to pay attention to where that goes and make sure it ends up where you want it, and previewing it is a good way to make sure it's where you want it. So let's just see how that worked out. Scroll, scroll, scroll. So we got size 0, and I could obviously, change this to say size 2 or whatever. So anyway, that's how you would do that once you get to the point that you want to do that. Um, yeah, so that was kind of essentially, I know I can get a little bit wordy, and so I don't want to overwhelm you with things. Um, but I do want to give you just kind of the very basics and not ramble on for too long. But let's just maybe look at one other page and give you kind of an idea. So let's say we go to our volunteer page and volunteer information has changed. So we want to do something with that. So again, I'm going to click on preview changes so I can keep track of what's going on. Okay, yeah, so that's our volunteer page. Let's say that you want to add a testimonial. Maybe we'll do that. So you got somebody who volunteered, they had an amazing time, they are just gushing about it, you want to add it. So this is what your testimonial slider looks like. We've got 4 of them so far. If we want to add one, we just click on this add one, and then once you add it, you have to click on the pencil button so that you can edit it. So I click on that, you type in their name here. If there's a subtitle, I don't think I have subtitle. Yeah, I just put their first names, but you can put a subtitle like dress shop volunteer or whatever. Then you put their quote. If there was some sort of star rating, you could add that. And then after that, you just click save and it populates for you. So I'm going to make sure I delete this one because that was... Okay. That's how you would do that. And if you want to even just like reorder the order, you can just pull them and that sort of a thing. Let's say you had new information about COVID or something, and we're up here with in this section here. So I'm going to click on the text block, edit, and I can say COVID is no longer a thing, yay! So I can take this off. Literally, I would just delete it, backspace and delete it. Again, kind of your controls here are less than what you would see on a lot of other kind of like, Microsoft Word or whatever. You have bold, you have italics, you can do bullet points, obviously, you see those up here. Numbered list, and then your alignment, insert a link, and then some of this other stuff I don't usually pay attention to. So yes, that is kind of the basics. I would just be really curious to hear what you thought about this tutorial. Let me know if it was helpful. If there's other questions that you still have, obviously we can do a follow-up meeting to chat more. But anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I'll be excited to chat with you all later. Thanks. Bye.